Okay. Barbara Friend, born in Austin, Texas, attended St. Agnes Academy in Houston, Texas, graduated from the University of Texas with a bachelor's in radio, television, film. First TV job was as an intern on private practice, writer of Station 19, episode 1729 216, and Grey's Anatomy B Team. Editor for Station 19, researcher for Grey's Anatomy, production staff Grey's Anatomy. She made an appearance in the 2015 Grey's Anatomy episode and is currently a co-executive producer on Fire Country. Everybody, Barbara Friend.
Thank you for that. I know you read it from my IMDb, and my dad wrote that, and I cannot get it to come down. So he'll be proud. He'll be proud.
She did great.
Hi, guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I'll get us started if you want. Let's talk about your journey from Houston to Hollywood. What formed the way that you did it form the way that you mentor and guide young creatives, and like how did it happen? How did you make it?
So as a kid, I mean, I always liked TV. I loved Grey's Anatomy. When it first came on, my mom loved it. So I think, oh, I can't like that show. But like I would like linger behind the couch as she was watching it and like get sucked in. So I always loved TV, but I thought I wanted to be a doctor for a long time. Even though there was something about film that always kind of pulled me. We had a film and TV class in high school that I loved. An alum who was a TV writer came back for career day, and I was just like so, inspired by her and her journey. And I got to college, tried to do some like pre-med biology stuff, and I think what I've learned over time is that I wanted to be like a TV doctor. So it was like amazing to land at Grey's, but yeah, I just kind of switched my focus to film and TV in college, and I definitely gravitated towards writing because it was something I could do alone with just my computer. Like I was very shy and still am quite introverted, and so it was just like way easier than the production classes and the directing classes where you really had to like, grab people, show up and like and try to convince a bunch of your classmates to like work for free. It just was really not my skill set. So yeah, I switched over to that, and then the University of Texas, where I went, has a Los Angeles program. So I did that my final semester of college, and that's actually when I had my internship at private practice. And I love that you asked the question about like how has it affected my mentorship. Well, it's like I knew Austin. Like when I came out here, so many of the people I worked with went to school at USC and UCLA, and like they had this community and network of people who were already working here. Like some of the teachers at USC, are like working television writers, and UT Austin just doesn't have that because it's, back in Texas and Hollywood is here in Los Angeles. So I really wanted to do whatever I could to sort of be a network for people out here who were back in Texas. And during the pandemic, I ended up volunteering at UTLA, that program I had done, and it actually has springboarded me into a lecture teaching job there. So it's just kind of come all full circle, and I've been very grateful for that. Yeah.
That's all. That's great.
You've worked in a variety of roles. How have those shifts? Hold on. How have those shifts changed the way you approach storytelling, and do you find one role more fulfilling than the other?
I mean, researcher was I was an intern, which was basically like being a writer's PA, which if anyone's not familiar, it's like kind of the bottom in the writer's room. You're getting lunch, getting coffee, you're doing all kinds of stuff like that. And then I got to jump to medical researcher at Grey's. And like I said, I think I wanted to be a TV doctor. Like it was just kind of this perfect melding of all of my interests. And I really, really, really loved that job. It was just so cool to get to talk to not only doctors, but just because of who Shonda is and the show. I mean, we were talking to like Michelle Obama's people. We were talking to like just like the Surgeon General, like, I mean, just anyone would like talk to us, and it was so cool. And so I really, truly loved that job. And actually, while I was in that job, we kind of added some more doctors to the team. So there was Zoanne, who had been there from the beginning. And then we had Dr. Fred Einesman, who came in from private practice. But we also had this rotating cast of surgical fellows. Nasser, who's still a producer over at Gray's, he joined while I was there. So it was like 3 doctors. Like, what am I going to bring to the table? I'm just, a nobody. And they're very kind. They tell me I have a almost MD. So I'm like, I'll take it. But it's like, I'm not a doctor. So with that whole crew there, I was able to also shift my focus more towards like representation. So talking to consultants and experts about, immigration or religion or queer stories, like being able to actually open up my research to more than just the medicine and the science. So that job will always, always, always hold a special place in my heart. I mean, but there's nothing cooler than actually getting to do the thing you set out to do, which is, be a writer. That's just so awesome. And I get to take all that stuff that I learned and all the experts I've spoken to, and like, I just carry them with me from like show to show, and I can still do some of that same stuff. But being able to say, hey, I'm in a room and, I'm crafting stories is absolutely a blast. But like I said, that researcher job was just really special to me. And actually during the strikes, we were walking a picket line at Disney one day, and I was like, oh, hey, there's Meg. She runs Grey's Anatomy now. I was like, there's Meg. Oh, and there's Nancy, who had the researcher job before me. And there's Jess, who was like a researcher before that. And there's, this other woman. And there's literally like 6 Grey's Anatomy researchers just happened to like converge. And it felt very, very special to kind of be in that space. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
It was fun.
We're going to go back a little bit and talk about the B Team.
Okay. Yeah.
Your Emmy nominated work on Grey's Anatomy B Team.
Yeah.
Blended innovation with beloved storytelling. Do you see short form content evolving nowadays in the industry?
Man, it's so interesting because I feel like short form content is just everywhere. Like anyone's TikTok is short form content, Twitter, like whatever it is. I think kind of when I've talked to people, B Team was kind of one of the last, I feel like, studio backed, show backed, like short form attempts in that way that I'm familiar with. I could be totally ignorant on that, but just kind of what I've talked to people and like other assistants who came up behind me, it's like that opportunity just has not happened again. And if you look at Grey's, they've had it like 3 or 4 times in the show's run, and they haven't done it since B Team. So it's a bummer because I think there is something wonderful about giving someone like the actual keys to the castle. Like TikTok, sure, anyone can do it, but like to get to do it at Grey's with the stages, with those actors, with the budget. I mean, it was smaller than an episode, but like, to get to say, oh, I directed Chandra Wilson, like what a, like it was Sarah Drew's first time directing. It was my friend Abby and Ghazal's first time producing, my first time writing, like that's a great opportunity. And I would love if we could say like that was gonna stick around or come back, but just feels like that shift is kind of shifting away, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's see, and this kind of skips around back to what you were talking about with your medical researching for Grey's. Did that influence your storytelling approach at all?
Oh yeah. Like I truly think you all, like, there's so much you can learn by hearing from other people's experiences. I mean, that's what the writer's room is for, obviously, is a number of voices. But if it's something you haven't lived or something you don't know, like there's no way you're going to write the best version of that story. So it's like bringing in research, bringing in consultants, just talking to people. I was actually just talking to someone the other day. They're doing some like, representation, their research, I guess you could say, of media. And I was just like, every time in Grey's and Station 19 and Fire Country that we would talk to an expert, you just get better ideas than what you came up with before, or they give you some little nuance or specificity that you just never would have thought of. And I truly find it always makes your stories better. It doesn't mean you have to, completely do their story beat for beat, but it's like there's always some like little piece of it that just makes the fabric of your storytelling just pop that much more. So I've definitely continued to try to do that and looking for that. And, it's network TV. It doesn't always get to be the most specific. You don't really get in there sometimes, but whatever little pieces you can sprinkle through, always, always, always like make the story pop.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Okay. Your pilot Sugar was recognized on the Out Loud list. Can you tell us more about the story, what inspired it, and what did the recognition mean to you, and how do you hope it inspires others?
Oh man, it's been so long since I've even thought about that script. And actually, I just want to call out Zavre, another Station 19 writer. He was on that list a few years after me, so I just love that there's been a few of us that, and Miguel, who was an assistant in Shondaland with me. There's like a few Shondaland queers that have been nominated for that, and I think it's really cool. Yeah, Sugar was, to be honest with you, Sugar was Shondaland had said, "Hey, assistants, we need your samples because this was to decide who was going to write the web series that ended up being B Team." And to be honest with you, I didn't have anything I was proud of, so I was just like, "All right, I'm going to write something." And my partner and I had trip planned to like Arizona that weekend. So they were driving and I was just like writing in the car, like doing everything last minute like I always do. And it just was sort of this there's a lot about it that just is stuff I liked. It sounds really lame, but like it's set in New Orleans. I love New Orleans. It's set around baking. I love to bake. Waitress musical had been on my mind. Like it was like just stuff I liked, And I was like, I wanted a story about sisterhood and queer, identities and family, found family kind of stuff. And I just kind of threw it all in there because that's just what felt would work for me in that short time frame that I needed to crank something out. And like, don't get me wrong, that first draft was like not good, but then I got notes and notes, and then I finally submitted to Shondaland and stuff, and I just continued to work on it even after I submitted it to Shondaland, and it finally got to a place that I was like, okay, I think this is my voice. Is it good? I don't know, but it's definitely my voice. This is the stuff I'm interested in. And as I continue to think it's not a good script, but like it's gotten me places and it's been recognized places, as you mentioned. And I find that that's just such a nice little treat. Um, but yeah, I just, my main takeaway from that, more than like what it represents storytelling wise, is just like you have to be working at your craft to get to move forward. Cause like I didn't really have a sample I was proud of. And then I was sort of kicked in the ass to do it. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do it. And then like it has been successful for me. So it's like, yeah, if you want to do something, just do the work, I feel like there was a second part of your question I missed, or maybe I got it all. I don't know.
Oh, how do you hope that it inspires other writers?
Yeah, I mean, I think just hoping that you write what you love. And I think queer storytelling, especially, it's like write what you haven't seen that you're desperate to see. Like, I think there's still so many stories that are untold in that space. And, it's like, I love like fan fiction for that reason too. It's like, okay, you didn't get it where you wanted it, so just tell it yourself. So I think of it similar in that way. It's like, there's so many stories that haven't been told. So just do it, you know?
Yes. And
Yeah.
the three of
You're
us
like, yeah,
are
yeah,
we're
nodding.
massive fans of fanfic
Yeah,
over
yeah.
here.
I can't read fanfic of shows I work on. Like I just can't do that. But like other stuff, I'll get obsessed for sure.
Oh yeah. Shows you love? Yeah.
Yeah.
As someone who writes drama, how do you balance personal passion with creating stories that resonate with a broad audience?
I mean, I think this is actually something. So Zoanne, who again ended up, well, yeah, you know her because she ended up running
Love
Amazing.
Station
Zoe.
19. Yes, we love Zoe. Her whole thing is like edutainment, right? She as a doctor feels like she reaches more people with one episode of Grey's Anatomy than she does like her entire clinical career as a doctor.
Mhm.
And that has always stuck with me. And then one time, Denzel Washington directed an episode of Grey's, and we're sitting there in this meeting with him, and he says, the universal stems from the specific. And that also stuck with me. This idea that like the more specific and nuanced the story is, the more it's going to resonate with more people. So to sort of that question, it's just like, I think all we can do is tell stories that feel true and real, because that's going to feel true and real to other people. I think when you start trying to paint like, oh, I'm going to tell a story that everyone's going to love, it's like, well, then it starts to feel like just like discombobulated like mix of ideas, just telling a universal truth, even if it's just your truth, I think is like going to actually resonate with way more people because that's going to feel real and people are going to identify with that. And so just sort of those ideas of like really getting in there to like what is the truth? You know, medicine, soap, fire. It's like, yes, we bend reality for TV, but there's always emotional, I think, truth in those stories. And that's just what people like come to. And the reason I love TV so much is that they get to come back week after week and actually see stuff change and grow, which mimics more kind of how we change and grow. Not like a, you know, we don't just like live for 90 minutes like a movie. It's like, no, we spend time, and I just love getting to see characters sort of evolve like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You speak your truth.
Yeah.
Let's see. As a co-executive producer in Fire Country, how are you shaping the series to stand out in the genre that blends action and emotion? And also, how do you build the tension and drama in a fresh way that feels organic still?
So being a co-EP, yes, you have responsibility, but it's still always up to like the showrunner and creator. So Tia is our showrunner of Fire Country. She's also a Grey's and Station 19 alum, and Tony and Joan, who created it, as well as Max, the star of Fire Country. So, you know, I'm not making any like massive decisions in terms of storytelling, but I bring what I bring. And, you know, I think in terms of like finding ways to keep it fresh, it's I thought after being at Station 19, I knew fire in and out. Like I thought I could do this no problem. But as you guys know, Station 19 is like more, you know, Seattle's a very like it's a city. We're inside putting out fires a lot. There's a lot more sort of paramedic stuff. Fire Country, small town, out in the woods all the time, which is a real treat when you're up there in Vancouver winters, like trying to shoot that stuff. But it's just a completely different kind of firefighting. And also the world is like completely different than Station 19. You know, it's Jerry Bruckheimer, it's not Shondaland, so it's a little grittier, it's a little more masculine than the shows I've been brought up on before. And it just like got to like crack me open in a way of like, oh, okay, like that same idea, but now I have to package it over here in a way that works for this show. And definitely that Fire Country is like high stakes, adrenaline to the max. Every episode feels like a little movie sometimes. And so yeah, it was a getting into sort of a different side of drama than I'd done before. Like it definitely has challenged me, like trying to find that kind of voice. But so for me it's fresh. I hope it's fresh for the audience, and I think the world of Fire Countries is fresh because we have our, you know, our incarcerated firefighters, which, you know, hadn't really been on TV before, and it's network, so I don't think we get to get into the nitty gritty of that sometimes. But being able to sprinkle in messaging about, you know, redemption and incarceration and whatever that is, that's been really cool. So yeah, again, it's fresh for me. It's very fresh. It still continues to be a challenge sometimes, and I hope it's fresh for the audience as well.
Absolutely.
See, what has been the most rewarding part of your journey as a co-executive producer on Fire Country? And is there any upcoming storylines that you're excited for fans to experience that you can say?
Yeah. The most rewarding part, honestly, it's just been being able to land at a show long enough to actually kind of get that experience and climb that ladder. And now at this level, you know, I get to go to set. Which I did at Station 19, but it just feels different. The more experience you have under your belt, you feel like you're actually like able to answer questions rather than like texting your showrunner, like, what do you think? You know, it's just like, oh, no, I can answer this myself. That always feels good. And getting into post on the episodes and editing. And I just feel like I understand how the show is made way so much more because I've been able to sort of climb the ladder. And in terms of what's coming up, I mean, so our mid-season finale, one of our characters, Eve, who is the captain of the incarcerated fire camp, she's been estranged from her family for a few years. And just in our mid-season finale, she kind of went back to the family ranch, and it did not go well. And then the ranch is on fire, you know, and just in terms of like seeing that journey, even what's aired so far and like where it's going has been really cool. You know, she's our queer character on the show, and like the reason her family shunned her didn't have to do with her queerness, which I thought was cool, but like getting to see her sort of navigate family and career and relationship. It just felt cool to be able to tell another queer story about that wasn't necessarily about being queer, but obviously, it still is a queer story. That's been really fun, and I do love where we're going with that one. It's been really cool. It's been really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
As you know, we take a lot of fan questions. one of the popular ones recently is, everyone wants to know how Danielle Savre did as shadowing director.
You cannot say enough good things about Danielle. Sorry, was there more to the question?
No,
Yeah.
there's more to the
Yeah.
question, and
Okay,
it goes
okay.
both ways, because she has said some wonderful things about you as well.
Yeah.
What was it like having her on set again? And what do you think makes her perspective unique? Do you think her directing an episode of Fire Country is in her future?
I have no say over that, but I know
Right.
we would love to have her, and I think it would be so cool, and I would love to be able to write that episode. I think that would be awesome. It wasn't my episode that she shadowed, but we did overlap for a couple days, so I just got to see her up there, and even that alone was just like such a treat. And everyone I spoke to could not say like enough nice things about her. She did a great job, as anyone could guess. The thing, I actually texted Danielle this like right before the holidays, because I've seen her a few times because she's come by the Fire Country office. She just throws her whole self into whatever she's doing, and in a way that's genuine and kind and energetic, and like so just it's like a delight to be around. And I think I just like anyone would be lucky to have her direct or act or whatever she wants to do. The one thing that I like when we were up there and when we overlapped, we got drinks. It was Danielle, myself, two of our upcoming directors, which were two first-time directors, and then one of our sort of like up-and-coming producers. And we just sat around and just like shared stories, and it was just such a great space to be in. Like Danielle was able to talk about her experience as a director to these up-and-coming directors. Like I had my perspective. I was learning from directors. They were learning from me as a writer. Like just this wonderful space to just be in support of one another and sharing ideas and teaching and learning and all of that. And we stayed at the bar probably like an hour and a half after it closed, just being in community. And like I share that story just because like that's just like the kind of community that Station 19 was also. And I just love that. And I know it's just kind of how Danielle also moves through the world. Like everyone's a friend. I'm going to help whoever I can. Like I'm going to share whatever knowledge I have. Like that's just how she is. Like, and I just loved being able to like sit with her for that amount of time. I hadn't done that in a while. So yeah, like she did a great job. We'd love to have her. It's not my say. Anyone would love, like, be like I said, anyone would be lucky to have her. But yeah, I hope she gets it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that story.
Yeah, thank you.
It was so fun. And like, yeah, we were all women too, which was just cool. Like, it felt great. Very supportive. Yeah.
That's how it should be too.
Yeah, just like the networking and just I think building relationships is probably hard to do in Hollywood, if you will, because not everyone is that genuine to like sit and spend time together to teach each other their trades for free.
Yeah.
Even.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a great lead into Station 19. We'll kind of skip some of the questions there. As you know, there's a huge fan base for Station, but also for like Maya and Karina, the Marina couple.
Yeah.
This question is similar to that, but Station 19 had a profound global impact with overall stories they told. Very important storytelling. And particularly with Maya and Karina. Did you realize the significance of this representation while you were working on the show?
I mean, unfortunately, I was not there the Marina years, but like it was so cool to like leave a show and then see it just continue to like take off and resonate with people. And I would have loved to have been there when we had like a storyline like that. I got to write a lot of the Travis Grant stuff in the early seasons, and that was really cool. But like queer women, obviously, like, I would have loved to have gotten into that more. And I did. I just thought it was like so cool to like see, you know, like a storyline like that take off, especially on a network show. And also for it to happen to Danielle, like so deserving. That was great. And I joke with her sometimes. It's just like it also like brought her into my life again because like I'm on Tumblr and it's like I wasn't following Station 19, but because like I do follow like a lot of queer fandoms, then Marina just came like crashing in and I was like, oh well, now I'm seeing Danielle like every day. But yeah, I just thought it was so cool for the show, and I'm happy that it was successful for them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We loved Grant and Travis too. That was like such a sad
Yeah,
time when they went
I
free,
know,
but it was
I
cute while it
know.
lasted.
And those two actors were just like the best. So that was fun. But yeah, just to see like Marina, I was like, yeah, that's so cool. And like fans to have something that they could watch every week on network TV. Why not? More power to it, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Fans have been passionately campaigning for hashtag Station 19, but
Yes.
also a Marina spinoff.
Yes.
Your view, what would it take to get a Marina spinoff greenlit? And do you think it could ever happen? That is very much a fan question.
Yeah. I wish I had the answer to that. There was always like at Grey's, I do feel like Grey's or Station could spin off for forever. But in terms of like what that would take, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't have the answer to that. But I'll cross my fingers for them for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. And just to speak to the Save Station 19 part of it, which again, same as like Marina taking off. I just love that there's a group of people that passionate about something. Like there's nothing cooler than working on a show and it resonating with people like that, like whether it happens or not, it's like, well, that meant something to people. And I think writers don't take that for granted. Creatives don't, actors don't. So I know it's very appreciated when something like that takes off. It's like, again, whether there's a revival of the show or not, the impact, like I think it's a win. I think just being able to say, hey, like we're a group of people, like you found community with each other, which I think is amazing. You've sort of expressed how much a show meant to you, which again matters to every cast and crew member of that show. I know it mattered to them. Like I've talked to many friends from that show, and it's just what they said, it's how cool it was. So whether or not the show comes back, that campaign and all of you are a part of the show in some way, like a part of the history of that show. And I just think that's so amazing. Of course we want our favorite stories to go forever and ever. And
Right.
sometimes they just can't, but it's yours now, like you're a part of it. So I think it's cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's see. As a story editor on Station 19, how did you approach balancing both the show with the high stakes drama that it had? We just got done talking to Rob Giles, and he
Oh,
was
yeah.
like, firefighters in love. I thought that was so funny.
He's renamed it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
You've got the high stakes drama mixed with the authentic character developments. So, like, how do you keep the developments of those characters authentic still?
I mean, the thing about Grey's that was so awesome. I mean, I know it's like, I don't think it's overdone. I think it is what the show is. It's like characters have a problem, they encounter a patient, and the patient sort of plays on them and it helps them navigate their problem. And Fire was the same way. And at first, it's trickier than Patients because Patients can talk to you and they can have stories and like all of that. And Fire itself is way less interesting. I have learned being on 2 Fire shows now, like Fire doesn't do much. Fire is Fire. But navigating those patients that you find in the fire or whatever the sort of tactic is to take on the fire, like it's the same idea. And I do truly love like allowing the fire patient story, whatever it is of the week, to impact our characters. I think the cool thing about Fire is it's just so much kind of like what Rob was saying. It's way more adrenalized, and it just feels higher stakes no matter what. So that just that was always just fun to play in, because like any day anyone could die, and that's like, well, they're not going to die, but it's like you know they could die. You never know. It just made it a little bit more fun. But the beauty of 19 and was just like getting to balance both of those things. I just thought it was amazing. I remember I was talking to Tia the other day, with like when we first watched the 19 pilot, we were like, holy shit, like this is so cool. Like they jump out of a window, like fire behind them. We're like, whoa, what are we doing here? Like this feels crazy. It's so cool. Yeah.
What is one behind the scenes moment or decision from your time as a story editor on Station 19 that stands out to you as particularly impactful, either for the storyline or for the show's representation?
So again, story editor is just kind of like a title of writer. Like there's not really much of a difference, but it's interesting that they like that's the question, because it was my last episode. It was Ripley's funeral. And we had been trying to like figure out just sort of how to get Vic to go to that funeral. And like we just gone in circles in the room forever, and like just like nothing felt satisfying. And it just for and I it was I was the one who had the pitch that Levi, had run into Ripley in the episode before, and like then Levi brings the flowers like to Vic. And so it's a little bit like Ripley talking to Vic through Levi. And it meant a lot to me that stuck for many reasons. One, I'd been a staff writer. You pitch so much stuff that's not good. You feel like, do I know what I'm doing? It's like, and so finally to land kind of like a larger pitch like that just felt like, okay, I feel like I'm getting better at this, I guess. So that was just important to me, like as a writer, period. I was like, okay, that felt cool. I got to work with Jake again. He was obviously in Grey's Anatomy B Team, so getting to see Jake Borelli was just also amazing. And then I thought, obviously Barrett plays everything gorgeously in that sort of time around Ripley's funeral. So then to be on set and get to see it all come to life, and those actors just knocked it out of the park, was just also like so rewarding. So that was just a very special moment for me. And I didn't know, obviously, it would be my last episode of Station 19. I wish I could have worked there for as long as they would have me, but to be able to say, oh, that's the last thing I did, was just like that was also very special, looking back on it. Yeah, it just continues to be a moment that kind of sticks with me.
Yeah.
What an amazing episode that was. I cry every time I watch it.
Oh, thank you. I think this was revealed on Twitter. I think I tweeted it, so I think it's been around. But my other favorite story from that episode is when Travis is ringing the bells. Jay could not make the bells ring. So any close-ups of the bells are actually Alberto in Jay's jacket ringing the bells. And I just like, for me, it was like, of course, like, sure. Like that's just a moment of like how stuff gets made is so silly sometimes, but the finished product looks great. And you like, audiences have no idea like what it took to sort of get there. But yeah, that was just a fun episode all around. Obviously a very challenging episode, but it was really fun. Really fun.
You got to work with the amazing Tessa Blake on that.
Oh, yes. Like, what more could you want?
Legend.
What more could you want?
You hit the jackpot there.
Truly. And it was actually the first woman director. No, that's not true. Why did I think that? Oh, I know. I had covered a few days of her like previously, and I loved her. On her first episode, I filled in for another writer, and I was like, oh, like I want to work with this person like a million more times. So yeah, then to be given that episode with her, it was awesome. Truly awesome. Yeah. We're trying to get her to come to Fire Country too. I think that would be great.
That would be so wonderful.
Yes.
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 They'd be crazy not to.
Exactly. But maybe she's too cool for us. Too big.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. No, I know.
Time.
Yeah.
We have a very special question that only you can answer because
boy.
it has been asked through various people. And they had no clue.
Nope.
So
Okay.
here we go. It's kind of long.
Okay.
One of the person that came from, I don't know if she wants her name revealed or not. Okay. Beth says yes. All right.
We call her the
Sarah.
trivia master.
Sarah is our master trivia person of the show.
Okay. Okay.
And this is the one question she does not have an answer for, so we can't let her down.
Okay.
Okay.
Just
Sarah
so much
has
pressure.
I know, right? Sarah has type 1 diabetes
Okay.
and has had it for over 20 years. And so these storylines always grab her attention. One of the favorite episodes on Station 19 was 211, where
Baby
the
boom.
RV crashes into the firehouse.
Yeah.
Okay. The way it was written with the little girl with diabetes and the dialogue about not wanting to be seen as different was the best I've seen in 20 years. So the question is, was there anyone in the writer's room specifically that had knowledge about living with type 1 diabetes?
To my knowledge, no one had type 1 diabetes. I know, though, that we spoke, as we always do, to consultants about that storyline. And I couldn't tell you. I'm so sorry. I don't remember exactly where stuff came from, but I know that that was crafted with a lot of care. Molly and James, who wrote that episode, like, they definitely are some of the most, like, want to get it right kind of people. So I know that they did their due diligence. I love that it resonated with her, and I'm sure a lot of people. But I feel like I don't have that very specific answer for you.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
Hey, we're asking.
Do you want? Yeah, maybe I'll ask Molly and James.
Sarah also mentioned she saw a Fire Country episode at the end of my rope,
Yep.
which also had great writing about a
Yep.
kid needing to be rescued from type 1 diabetes.
Yes.
Diabetes.
Yes.
So yes.
That one was mine, and I know, again, we definitely spoke to consultants on that one. It's so funny because I remember I was like, we should do diabetes because I had remembered working on the baby boom storyline. So yeah, just stealing old ideas. Yeah. Now you're just outing me as a hack.
Well, we have our answer. We don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But Barbara will let us know.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. Whatever you're doing it right, because it's needed with
no,
Sarah.
But we talk to people who do know. So whether someone in the room had it and wasn't open about that, or no one had it, but like we talk to people who do know, and like I said earlier, that's when the stories sort of get good and specific and nuanced. It's like because you're speaking to people who have those experiences and who know about those things. So that's just a tally in the column to keep doing that, which is good.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very cool. We'll ask another Sarah question. Okay. Is there an episode that you're most proud of?
On 19. The question.
We'll start with 19.
Yeah. No, of course. I mean, your first episode always feels like really cool. So 107 was great. I feel like this is, oh man. I think the episode I'm proud of all of them. Like, and I got to be on set for like so many of them. So yes, my first one was awesome. The second one that I got to do with Sydney Freeland was like really challenging. So when I like, not Sydney's fault, my fault in the room, like it got rebroken like a bajillion times. So like that I learned a lot from. Obviously working with Tessa, as we talked about, was really cool. The one before that one where Ripley actually dies was like, just like, I thought Tia did a great job on that one. I got to be on set for Crazy Train with, Danielle and Gray. And like, that was just like a totally different idea of an episode. And I thought that one was great. Getting to work with Paris on the first season finale and the season 2 premiere. I mean, even though those hours sucked at that skyscraper, was just like it's Paris Barkley. Like, what more could you want? Like, I learned so much. I mean, I just was so, I have true love for every single episode of that show that I worked on, and like episodes I've seen since. It was just a great group of people to work with. Like, truly could not have asked for a nicer show to work on first. Like, just incredible. Really, really incredible. Yeah. That's a cop out answer, but it's true.
I think
Yeah.
that's a great answer.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, your first 107 was
Yeah.
like phenomenal episode. You've got like heroic Ryan in that episode, and
Yeah.
you've got Edith. I loved Edith playing
Edith
stupid
was
and
awesome.
Travis.
I'm gonna
Oh,
say
yeah.
like Marla Gibbs. Yeah, exactly. Like wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a
And
fun
some
one.
good Travis and Vic, I think, in that one. Or maybe
Yeah.
maybe I'm misremembering. But I had actually played soccer with Jay before I started working at Station 19 while he was still on the catch. And then it was like, oh my God, like you're here, I'm here. That was so cool. So getting to work with Jay was also really fun. And he and Barrett obviously were great together, like the whole show. And I love where they ended their storyline in the series finale. I was just like, oh, they got me good. I cried so many times in that episode. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah.
Same.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. The baby falling out of the window, though, I just remembered this as I was preparing for this thing. It was my first episode of TV. Like, I didn't know I mean, I knew you think you know what you're doing. I'd been at Grey's for like 120 episodes. I'd sat in the room, I'd seen it done 120 times. I got this. Then you get up there and you're like, I have no idea what the F I'm doing, right? So I was like, and then Stacy was like, well, you need a cool case. And I was like, what's cool? I've never thought of that I had no thoughts. And then it was like Shonda, like from Heaven sent this email to the room, was like, I saw this story, I love it. And it was like a firefighter catching a baby out a window. And I was like, great. Shonda, if it's good enough for Shonda, it's good enough for my first episode of TV. So yeah, it just went in, and so grateful for everyone's help, obviously. Like no episode is made alone, but your first one especially is not made by yourself. And thank you for sharing that it turned out well for you guys.
Oh
Yeah.
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 Well, here's a tough question. Do you have
Okay.
a favorite character on the show?
Oh, that's not fair. That's not fair at all. But I will say some of the funnest stuff was like Travis and Vic obviously is like super fun to write, but a little bit that's just like Jay and Barrett. So it's like they always elevated the writing, but like getting to write for Miguel, like being snarky Pruitt, oh, that was always so fun. He was a blast. But like character wise, I cannot pick a favorite. I really can't.
Like
I
choosing
really-
between children.
I know it is. It really
I
is.
love them all
Okay,
differently.
just rate them
Yes.
Different reasons.
1 through 5.
But no. But what like some of my favorite stuff continues to be is writing friendships. So it's like whether it was like Andy and Maya, or like I said, Travis and Vic, and like Andy and Maya, obviously, like we in those first 2 seasons we played some of their ups and downs, and I know it got even more up and down after I left, but like getting to like navigate that was so like rewarding. I just love friendship stories. So like that was always a blast. Always a blast. Yeah. And like again, I'm not picking a favorite character, but to work with Ben Warren from like Grey's to Station, and now he's back at Grey's, I'm just like, that character has been through a lot. That guy needs to stop.
He doesn't know what he wants to be when he grows up, okay?
Exactly.
Is that anybody though?
I know. You never do. You never do.
Oh, it's so funny.
What does the writing look like when you're mapping out a season or episode? Can you kind of explain that to the fans?
So the season will come in at the start of a new season, and usually the showrunner has sent some wish list of like, here's what I liked last season, I want to build on that, or here's some not wacky, but left turn kind of pitch I want to get to this season. And so you come in and like, it's just totally like what we call blue sky, where it's like nothing's getting too nitty gritty yet. It's just like, what are these big ideas that we could possibly put up there for the season? And some like Stacy and Tia actually at Fire Country, it's like sometimes they'll say like, okay, Barbara, why don't you take like Ben and Vic, and like Alex, you'll take Maya and Andy, or like whatever it is, right? So you kind of like come in with specific pitches and then more global pitches for everybody. But yeah, you come in at the beginning of the season, we just go around the room and just talk, and like everyone shares and everyone builds upon everyone else, and then We have big whiteboards with like however many episodes of the season all taped off, and it's like, all right, well, let's start the season here, and then maybe at the mid-season finale we're at this point, and season finale we're at this, and like you kind of have this roadmap, and then always what happens is the studio network, whatever, they're like, we want more sooner. So like whatever was your season finale is now your mid-season finale, and whatever was your mid-season finale is now episode like 2 or 3, right? So just, and then you have to keep generating more and more for like the back half of the season. That's just always what happens. But yeah, the season pitch is just kind of this early stages, like first few days of the room, just trying to get stuff up there as a loose roadmap, if you will. And then you get into your episodes, and so like if it's my episode, I'm running the room, I look at what's come before. At Gray's Station and Fire Country, we call it what we know and what we owe. So what we know is everything that happened last episode. So these are the story threads that we need to pick up on. So what we owe, like what's going to happen in this episode to sort of like keep that story going or pay that story off. So that's where you start. It's like, well, if Andy and Maya had a fight last episode, then this episode we have to like live in either that. Are they going to resolve it? Are they still going to be fighting? Like, what are we doing? And we just, start talking about it. As the writer of the episode, you can come in with your ideas, but it's all very collaborative, and everyone's weighing in and pitching, and, so you come in with the room, you kind of get loose shapes for where all the characters are going to go that episode. You, as the writer, typically come in with like the case of the week or cases of the week in Station 19's instance, and talk about that. How are those going to play on our main characters? Who are the patients we're going to meet there? Just getting sort of like this soup of an episode. And then you pitch that to the showrunner. She'll say yay, nay, this or that, and then it's like, okay, let's rebuild it with her notes. And then, again, and then all that gets written into an outline that gets noted by the showrunner and studio and network. Then you go and write it, that gets noted, it's just like this round of notes after that. But yeah, it's just, it's always so like, for me, it's just like what I do every day. And then to explain it to people, I'm like, does this even make sense? But yeah, that's sort of the rhythm of things.
Yeah, that's so fascinating.
Yeah.
How long do you say like an average episode takes you to write?
Usually you have like 2 weeks kind of in the room for it. And then, the outlining and script phase takes a bit longer. And every show I've worked on, we do group writing, which means like it's my episode, but all you guys are going to help me write scenes for it. And then I go through and like take all those scenes and do a pass to make it all make sense and make it all track. So that kind of speeds up the actual writing of the script. Other shows, you might get to do that all by yourself, but that could take you like a week. And this we can do in usually a couple days, because the train is always running, right? Like there's always deadlines to meet. So we tend to do it that way. And then obviously like the showrunner will go and do her pass as well. But yeah, it's like 2 weeks kind of in the room, just like feeling out the stories and figuring them out. And then a couple days to write the outline, and usually like a week total to like write the script, polish it. And then the showrunner does her pass on it as well, which sometimes blows everything up. And sometimes you're like, oh, okay, we did a good job. She didn't change too much, but it just depends.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Let's see. Okay. What inspired you to take on the initiative to help create the right inclusion fact sheets, and what impact do you hope it will have on the industry?
So it was season 2 of Station 19, actually. I worked with Anupam Nigam and Angela Harvey, and they were in this group called TIE, the Think Tank for Inclusion and Equity. And I think they had seen just sort of how I advocated for inclusive storytelling in our Station 19 room. So they're like, hey, we think you'd be interested in joining this group. So I went and checked out TIE, and I just absolutely like loved it. And this was early stages. So TIE is a group of TV writers who care about inclusion and equity, not just in stories, but also in like writers' rooms, and making sure all writers are set up, to be successful, and things like that. So I joined TIE, and very early days, we were just kind of talking about like what the work was going to be of this organization. And they had already done a research report that looked at sort of the experiences of writers. And something that had come out of that data was that writers often feel like they get shut down when they try to advocate for authentic, mindful representation, right? Like they're told, oh, I don't care about that, or oh, that's too niche, or people just continually would pitch stereotypes about certain identities or whatever that was. So it's like, okay, well, maybe part of our work can be designing a tool to sort of help writers and writers' rooms navigate that conversation of like, hey, like this is a stereotype. How can we avoid it? And I just sort of raised my hand to be a part of that project, mostly because of my researcher background. Like that was so much of what I was doing was like, here's what's real, here's what's bad, here's, you know, how we can course correct or whatever. And sort of I have to shout out specifically Nick Adams at GLAAD. He's our consultant from GLAAD. He he teaches in a very constructive way of like, here's like trans stories that like are just so harmful, like please don't ever do them again, and here's stuff that we would love to see more of, and things like that. And I just thought that sort of those two ways of organizing information were so helpful, and that helped us greatly organize our fact sheets for Thai. So yeah, I just kind of ended up spearheading that, and I have learned so much doing them. I continue get to do the research work that I've always loved. We're talking to consultants to make them, ring true. It's all Thai is all volunteers, so it is a lot. But I just love them so much. And to your question, like what we hope comes from them, like they've already been successful. Like they're in so many rooms. People are constantly saying like, oh, I read this fact sheet and it was able to help our room navigate away from this or navigate towards this kind of story. And it's just, I'm just so lucky to be a part of that. I think it's really hard, especially if you're the only one of someone in a room, to raise your hand and say, hey, let's not do that. Like that feels very scary. That might feel unsafe. But if you could say, oh, hey, this fact sheet vetted by all these experts actually says it, it's gives you a bit of a shield to sort of raise your hand and say, hey, can we look at this another way? And I've also been very grateful that the showrunners I've worked for are very open to the fact sheets, like had them in every single room I've worked in. She sends them out before every season, reminding people to like take a look at them. Just anything that they can do to sort of navigate those representation conversations is, like I said, it's already a win, and just very lucky to be a part.
Yeah.
This is so awesome. Like it's really cool.
Thank you for whoever asked that question or for bringing it up, because to me it's the most important thing we do as TV writers. Like just making sure people see themselves and are not harmed by the stories we put out there. Because like Zoanne said, we reach so many people. Like if we continually put out bad messaging or information, that has impact. So let's put out good information. We have a great responsibility to do that for sure.
Yeah.
Those are amazing. She comes up with like almost every single one of these questions.
Well, so excellent question. Excellent.
Shout out to Miss Lori.
Yes, we love Lori. That leads into our next question is, many fans are noticing a backslide in diversity on network television, especially LGBTQ plus representation. What do you have to say about that? What are your thoughts?
I don't disagree, and I've seen some of like GLAAD's where we are in TV reports, and it does show that the number of characters on TV are dropping. Some of that is, I think, fewer shows are being made, and fewer shows are being made on the streamers and channels that more likely advocated for those kinds of stories, right? So there's just less opportunity, period. And unfortunately, when there's fewer things being made, the shows that do get made are the ones that, like, for whatever reason, execs think are, like most universal, which always means like white and straight, and like that's just what it is. Someone asked me about this recently too, and it's just like all you can say is like if you look at the numbers, inclusive stories actually make more money. Like the kinds of audiences that spend the most money on media are like not just white audiences. So it's like something about that is not translating. Like, hey, it's good for business to include all kinds of people in your storytelling. And I don't know, it's something that that organization I'm in, like we constantly think about like how can we make people understand like these two things are related in a way that improves your bottom line. So like keep including, people in your stories. But there's definitely not one easy fix. And I think it's just going to take people, actively trying, making sure we get all kinds of writers in rooms that represent people, making sure we're fighting for stories that can end up on screen. Execs need to take more risks, like on terms of the projects they buy. It's like, but that's obviously a heavy lift and it's not going to change overnight. And it does suck when like you see those numbers. But yeah, whatever sort of power you have in whatever space, like even you guys, like, advocating for a queer characters like Marina, it's like you're playing your part in this ecosystem. It's just like we need people in power to sort of recognize that and put their money behind that. But it's not going to be easy. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. Let's see. If you could give one piece of advice to writers looking to make an impact on TV drama, what would it be?
I mean, I think it's what we spoke about before, this idea that, the universal stems from the specific. Like, just really try to tell truthful stories. My own thing would be like, make them inclusive, like we just talked about. But I think too often the easier stories are just the ones that have already been told a million times before. So it's like, let's try to tell something new and keep it honest and keep it truthful. And I think there's just so many stories that still haven't been told. So anything you can do to just be an advocate for those voices and those characters is all I would say. I love getting to work in network TV. We reach so many people. Obviously, it's like a bit more of a stable job than streamers and stuff, but it can be challenging to get certain stories on the air because like we've talked about, like they're just not as interested in them sometimes. So all you can do is just keep trying to do it, keep fighting for it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we're gonna do some fun questions now.
They've all been fun.
Since we really got Lindish fun Christmas.
Okay.
If you could have any superpower in the world,
Ooh.
What would it be and why?
Oh my gosh. I feel like, oh man. Everyone, like flying obviously would be fun. Yeah. Is that so boring to say? I just think it would be fun. Like, I don't know. The real superpower would be like, achieve world peace, but like, is that, I don't know. That would be the real answer.
If only.
But yeah, if only, right? Yeah, I don't know. I think flying. I just think so much less time spent in traffic, like in cars.
Teleporting.
Yes,
Teleporting.
some version. Maybe it is teleporting. It's some version of that.
Yes.
Because I also like I love to go out and like see music and like restaurants and whatever. But I'm such a homebody, so many times I don't do stuff because I'm like I don't want to go out that late at night. But if I could just like teleport from my couch and then teleport home, that would make it so much better. Yeah, that's a great. Thank you for that, teleporting. Yes. Yes.
You can relate as another introvert. Like I think they're very much introverts.
We all
like,
are.
Like show up somewhere when as soon as you want to be done, you're just like disappear.
We're going home now.
Okay, this is perfect example too, because like I have a lot of older students, like ex-students of mine and mentees and stuff, and they're like, let's get coffee. And I'm like, no, but if you want to meet me in this tiny digital box, I will be there anytime, like anytime.
Yeah.
So this is like
Bring your own
teleporting, I
coffee.
guess. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good thought.
This is our version of teleporting.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect.
What is your favorite curse word?
That's the question.
That is one of the fun questions.
I say fuck all the time, just every which way. Um, yeah. I for a while thought like saying dick was like not for me, and I think I want to go back to that. But right now, I'm really in this phase. Like he's such a dick. Like that just feels good.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's definitely fuck.
Yeah.
So versatile. Like you can just use it in any context.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. But here's the thing. I wasn't even allowed to say but in my household. So, and like at all. So when I got to college, it just was like boom, like it just exploded out of me. And now I cuss probably way more than I should, but it's just because I had like this, all these pent up years of like not cussing. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. All right, my question is one that we love to ask everybody. Is there anything in particular that you like to collect?
Oh, man. Well, let's see. I just moved, so I've taken everything in and out. What have well, I'm a big Lego person. Tons of Lego
Yeah.
like kits. That's a big one for me.
Do you have a fire Lego?
So I had a whole, oh man, I should find it. When I was at Gray's, I bought all these pieces off eBay to make our entire cast. So I had every cast member of Gray's, which was like 15 people at the time.
Yeah.
Station 19, I had the fire station. I think I gave that to someone else. And then at Fire Country, I got a new. There's like 6 fire station sets. I got a different one for Fire Country, and then yeah, I gave that to one of my coworkers' kids. But yeah, I've built many a fire station. And I thought at Station 19 I was gonna do the characters there too. I just never got around to it. But yeah, yeah, those are fun.
That's cool.
Those are fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is
Lego's
awesome.
probably my number one sort of thing. What about
I
you
feel like
guys? Yeah.
my thing with Legos is like once you build it though, especially the bigger sets, like where do you put it?
No, I
That's my
know.
favorite thing now.
Yes. No, I gave a whole box away to a coworker, a different coworker's kids, because it's exactly right. I build it, I like it for like a week, and then
What do you do with it? You just
Yeah.
it sits on the shelf, collects dust.
Yeah,
the
I've got,
only
like,
one
the
the one I've kept is I have like a R2D2 that's like, that size, and
Yeah.
he's still up there on the shelf, but everything else, yeah, just goes away. But
Yeah.
but yeah.
That's cool.
That's
But wait,
cool.
what do you guys collect? What's y'all's stuff?
So I collect two things. So I like
Okay.
challenge coins because I was in the military for a while, so I have a bunch of challenge coins.
Yes.
And also I collect tiny skeletons.
I am obsessed.
I love them.
Incredible. That's awesome. We had Fire Country got challenge coins made, so that was pretty cool. That was
Oh,
pretty
that's
cool.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love them.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Ever since I had kids, I kind of stopped collecting stuff. But before kids, I have the original. You'll love this. The U.S. women's soccer team from '99.
Yeah.
They're trading cards.
He's sick. Yeah, that's awesome.
I have them all signed. And
Wow.
Beth has seen this. They're in a binder, and no one touches them.
They're beautiful. I'm like, take those things out, Susan.
If
and
there's
put
a
them in
fire, if there's a fire in
That's
my
the first thing you're
house,
taking. Yeah.
there's a few things, and that and my autograph board from the girls, and a few other things will be it.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah, and then I have autographed because I was at the Rose Bowl for the
Yep.
final.
Incredible.
Yes, probably one of the best days of my life.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah, so I have the program signed in a frame and stuff.
Wow.
A lot of that's still in storage though, because I packed a lot of it up when I had my kids.
Yeah.
Because you know how kids are, they get into stuff.
Beth, what's your thing?
Yeah.
I collect so many things. I like I think I'm a hoarder. I've realized this as I've gotten older. I'm definitely a hoarder of like all things, but I like anything that's miniature. So like like little character. I don't like have so many things. Like you got like little Rachel Green pop figure. And
Wow, I've never seen them that small. Oh my gosh.
yeah, just like a Batman. Anything Batman I collect. I like Legos. And I'm
Yeah.
like Susan, I like to collect trading cards. I have I started collecting when I was like 8 years old, and I still have them, you know, like Michael Jordan days. Like these are the times.
Yeah.
Some fun
That's
stuff.
awesome.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of I do have one question that I always try to ask everyone.
Yeah.
Assuming you did make it through the 7th season with everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would there be anything from the set you would steal?
Oh,
I have a wish list, I guess, per se.
I know.
Because I know we do.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm gonna ask you guys at the end of this.
Right.
I was lucky enough in season 1 because I happened to be there. I was covering the finale. The costume, Tom, our costumes guy, was like, "Oh, I'm getting some more Seattle Fire Department jackets made. If you want one." It's like, yeah, I'll take one. So, like their blue jackets I have, which I love that. It's probably it's one of the coolest things I've gotten from a show ever. But steal from set. I mean, I would steal Dean's whole house, like the houseboat set. That when we first walked in, like, again, I've been at Grace forever, but like, it's your first show as a writer. It's a brand new show. So like everything was being built like as we were starting the room. And one day we just go over there and I was like, this was built for us to play in. Like, this is just so beautiful. Like it was, everyone works so hard on every show, but like something about seeing like that all come to life from the beginning was just like, oh my gosh. So yeah, his whole set. Maybe I would steal the Prue actress. She's so cute. And her little Rapinoe jersey was like the best touch. I texted Emily immediately. I was like, was that you? She was like, yes. I was like, sick. Like, could not love it more. Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to think from the station, because the station was always fun to be into. Just that giant like 19, like lit up 19 light would be awesome. Yeah. What about you guys?
What you can put on your back wall right there.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's so much space.
It's like glaring.
What are y'all's answers? I know you've thought about it.
We have thought about it. And it changes. It changes based on other people's answers. I've always said here's my top 3. In the reception area on the wall, there was a huge mural of firefighter stuff. Yeah. Because I come from a big firefighter family. My dad was a firefighter. Yeah. So like I always said, I want that. Maya's gold medal. Yep. Beth, what was the third thing I've always said?
I don't know. Like you said, it changes.
It was something from the from the Marina apartment. Now I can't remember. But there's a lot of things.
It's the chalkboard.
Oh yeah, the chalkboard. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny.
So that would be my favorite, probably.
I just want Maya's axe.
Oh yeah,
that's a sick looking axe.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
That's the big one. I just want the axe.
Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know what I would want. Like the gold medal, obviously, like that's super cool. But probably like a helmet would be pretty awesome. One of the helmets they wore.
Yeah.
Just like a pin, I like the miniature stuff. So like something small, but like a little
the label.
Yeah.
The lapel. Yeah. The crosses, crossbars.
I have another one now.
Okay.
Cutting his vagina art.
I've heard about this. There was actually in Maya's first apartment, there was a painting. It never went to air because it looked like a naked woman. Like it wasn't, but it kind of looked that way. And the standards and practices was like, you cannot have this. But I remember we walked in and we were all like, what is that? Like, so that went away.
Remember she had that weird drawing on her, Maya's apartment had on the, what is it called? Refrigerator. I can't remember. It was like a weird
kid drawing.
Like a kid drew it. I'm always like, what was that? But there's some cool
like
stuff.
What kid was Maya hanging around with to give her a drawing?
Like a bird, maybe. I don't know. Anyways, it's fun to think about.
Yeah, it's just fun stuff. And the fans do notice that. I mean, you have something out of place from one scene to the next. They notice that.
They clock it. For sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, thanks for hanging out with us today.
Yeah, thanks, Barbara.
It's so valuable and we just appreciate it so much. We just love highlighting, everyone from behind the scenes and the people that brought the show to us every single week that we love so much. So we appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate everything you guys do. I think it's so cool, and like to be able to like reflect on my time there, which I haven't done in a while, was also really, really nice. So thank you for the opportunity. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Awesome.
It was great to
Good
get
luck
to
with
know you a little
everything.
better.
Yeah. Cool
Yeah.
beans.
Yeah.
All right.
Good luck with everything in the future and Fire Country and everything. It's just so exciting. We'll be here cheering for you.
Awesome. That means a lot. Thank you guys so much. I hope you have a great 2025, and yeah, I'll be keeping tabs on what you're up to. So
You too.
thank
You
you.
too.
Yeah. Have a good
Thank
day.
you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.